Alright, so I am out today trying, I don't want to call this a new technique, but it is. It's kind of an alternative to my head-mounted camera, my helmet-mounted camera. The helmet-mounted camera it's actually pissed a few people off because they don't like they like being in the center line of the motorcycle. Well, that's fine and dandy. As long as you're not wearing a modular helmet. If you have a modular helmet, you have a lever, or the release mechanism is in the center of the helmet, right by the chin, right where most people that vlog with a camera on their helmet, most people, I think, I mean, at least the ones let's just say the vast majority of people mount their blogging setup camera on their chin, which makes it real easy for several reasons. You don't have if you got a microphone inside your helmet, you don't have to run the cord very far. You certainly don't have to run it like I have mine run on this helmet on the side. It's run like conduit through a house. It's kind of crazy, but it works. Have to go in and resolder wires and cut wires occasionally. I finally shortened it, and the same cable that is running this setup here, hopefully it's working. Always like to test my setups before I do anything serious. So this is a test. And I'm just kind of curious what if it actually comes out, what you guys think about the chest-mounted setup. Does this feel a little bit more realistic, a little bit more first person, something that maybe you feel like you're riding along with me a little bit better? And that's almost always my goal when I'm shooting any kind of a motorcycle video. I like taking people along, especially the camping stuff. So I like to give an experience that people feel like they're there. So if this setup helps that, please drop a comment below. If you like this better than the side mount. It's even more of a pain in the ass to do this than it is to slap a camera on the side of my head. But it's also easier to adjust. Once I get it on the chest, it's, I just tilt it. I can pretty much eyeball it. When I have it on my helmet, I have to actually pull up the app on my camera to see where my camera is pointed, because I don't want it to have half the helmet in the frame. I don't want it to be pointing to the ground or off to the sky or whatever. So the setup is easier on the helmet, but actually pointing it in the right direction is a bit of a pain in the ass. So maybe it's a wash. I don't know. But today, my mission is to find a cool spot to get a drone shot. Maybe like a circle shot of the bike. I don't think I've got a drone shot of me and this bike. A circling shot. I don't think I've ever gotten one. I've gotten some fly-offs, like some, what do they call them? Dronies. There's a few settings on this drone. Probably all the DJI drones. There's a few automated settings where if you're in the right place, it's automated and it won't crash. So in other words, you just hit go and it does the flight that you've kind of programmed it to do. And one of them is a circle. One of them is I think it's an ellipse. I'm not really sure. Oh, there's a good spot back there. Let's go see how far down this road we can go on this bike. That might be the place to go. I've been wanting to come down here. I just didn't really think about bringing this big beast in the mud pit that is back there. So, but it's also a good place to maybe film some more. Ooh, well, yeah, that's. I'm gonna be careful on these brakes. All right. Try not to get killed. People come around these roads just like I do, 70 plus. Sometimes I forget about the awesome spots that I know about until I pass them, and that's kind of what I'm doing today. I'm thinking I just need to get out and ride. It's pretty chilly. I think it's in the low 50s today, but still. So maybe that's what I need to talk about today is I'm looking at doing some other things before. Like, I don't know that I'm going to do any more long trips this winter, but the spring is coming up, and I'm thinking April is probably going to be my first trip, maybe. I don't know. I may go up to the mountains before that in the same area where the rally is, especially if somebody else wants to go with me, and maybe do some tour. And I think Gary is coming back for the April rally. I mean, what else is he going to do? And he's such a good fit for all the people that are there. And then, maybe Jeff and Christy and Carl. Maybe Carl's looking for a motorcycle right now. The one he was on at the rally was his buddy's bike. Which did I ever? Yeah, that was that was part of I was thinking about doing some kind of a take on, why would a man let another man ride his motorcycle, at least out of sight? That's kind of what the Jerry Springer episode was all about. I just think it's funny because most guys are like that about their motorcycles. I'm not really like that, except I don't want you to total my bike. That's a big thing for me. I don't think I've ever had. No, I haven't. I've never had comprehensive insurance on a motorcycle. It's a toy to me. It's like shoes. I keep describing it as shoes. Motorcycles are shoes. I love them, but I'm not in love with them. So many people that ride motorcycles are in love with their motorcycle. And that's pretty much what I was trying to point out in Jerry Springer. It's a love thing, and it's a love thing. Therefore, you're gonna treat your baby just right, and you're only gonna take her out when she's all dressed up and pretty, and she's got all her makeup on, and no, your friends can't ride her. No, it's my woman. So I think it's pretty funny. I was not expecting mud today, and I am definitely not on the mud bike. And I'm not so sure how far I'm going to be able to go on this bike. Yeah, so I'm talking about 50 things at once. It's hard for me to stay on topic. When I'm riding my motorcycle, I was just thinking when I got on it, I couldn't come up with anything to say, so I was like, let me ride a little bit. Let me clear my head a little bit. Let me put the catheter in my arm so I can get my IV full of narcotics. And it started hitting me then. It's like, man, that's kind of why it's hard for me to blog or vlog. I don't call my channel a vlog. I vlog occasionally. I get on the bike and talk about random crap. Sometimes I have something that I want to say. But it's really hard for me because riding my motorcycle is like a fast drip of narcotics. It's not an injection. It's not this huge rush of pleasure. It's this fast drip of narcotics. The pain goes away pretty quickly. But I'm also I'm a little loopy when I'm riding on my motorcycle. So it takes my attention away from whatever blathering attempt at talking I'm trying to do. Yeah, so we're riding out in the oil field. This is a great spot to ride a dual sport. Nothing really that technical and difficult out here. But, surprisingly, it's a pretty good day to ride a street bike on it. And this is about the limit of the kind of stuff I want to do nowadays. I think I'm getting too old for dual sports. I think I'm getting too old for the risk that's associated with dual sports. So, yeah, mud. I don't like mud on knobbies, and I certainly don't like mud. Yeah. The only good thing about this mud is it's probably not that muddy. It's probably got a lot of it's pretty muddy. You got that sinking feeling? I know that sinking feeling. Yeah, this looks really muddy and really scary. The scariest thing is crashing. The second scariest thing when you're in mud without mud. I would say mud in general. When you're in mud, crashing is the biggest scare for me. The second biggest concern is getting into something you can't get out of, because these are slick ass tires and this is a heavy bike. All right, so I'm hitting record, hoping you can see some of this. Hope it takes off without crashing. Woo! How about that? Hope we're still recording. Alright, so I did a little flying lesson the other day, which turned out okay, but I wanted to come back on another flying lesson and let's see if I can replicate. So what I'm trying to do is do a simple circle without using the pre-programmed thing. Yeah, this is hard to do. It's really hard to do. You're basically using two joysticks to turn the drone and point it at you as well, I think you see what I'm trying to do. It's really hard. You have to really concentrate it to be able to do this correctly. But if you just use the programmed mode, you don't really have to do that. So the way to do that, instead of watching the drone, is I gotta get some altitude here. So yeah, let's come in a little bit. Let's try it one more time. We're gonna try it for giggles. The other thing about using the program thing is it tracks. And it doesn't follow you. This drone doesn't follow you. The more expensive drones have that ability, but this drone does not track. So yeah, so I'm basically trying to do a circle, a manual circle, which is kind of hard. Because you're actually turning the drone as the camera. So that's the hard part, to get a smooth circle. But yeah, what I'm trying to do is get some B-roll. I'm trying to get something that's kind of sexy that I can just throw into a video that's really boring. It's just me talking. I'm trying to find a way to do that B-roll wise. But not just that, you got to really pay attention to the drone too if you're flying like this, because yeah, see, I can't do it. So now what I'm going to do is try to show you the program stuff. And try to do a really tight circle here. And ellipse. Well, let's see. What's a sexy background? Yeah, let's do my standard droney. It's called the quick shot stuff, so droney is what we're gonna do. And now you can't see what I'm doing here. You probably won't be able to see it. Yeah, so now I've selected me as the thing that it's tracking. And I'm going to come in a little bit closer so it's a little bit more dramatic. And then I'm going to do a droney. Let's see, it's going to be 25 feet. Let's make it a big 40-meter thing. So I don't think it's going to crash into anything. Droney. Now I just hide the drone, or I hide the controller, and it just takes off. And it does a slow pan out, and it just does something like this. And I would say this is kind of cinematic, but it's only cinematic if you've got something in the background back here. You know, that it's only cinematic if you're going to be doing, here's what's behind me. The thing that I like are the circles and the ellipses, and now it's returning. You can see it's returning. Yeah, we're going to do an ellipse. We're going to do a really short ellipse. What do they call these things? A helix, that's what it is. So now we're going to do a helix, which that's kind of the ones that I like. And it's going to go around that way. You see so far, that's what I've got. Alright, so now we're going to go. And it's going to do a short helix around the bike. And it's all pre-programmed, and all you got to do is make sure it's not on a collision course with the tree. If it turns out that it's going to be on a collision course with the tree, of course you could stop it. And you know, it's always kind of good to see where the helix is going, because it's kind of moving outward and up. So it's kind of corkscrewing its way out, which is kind of cool. And now we're going to do not a helix, we're going to do a circle. Same thing. And now it's circling around. I don't think it's going to crash into anything because there's nothing in the crash direction, but yeah. So it's going a whole lot further of an arc, but it's not increasing the arc at all, which is kind of cool. But I don't think it's as cinematic. I don't think it's as helicoptery as I would like. All right, well, now if I just make it out of here alive, that one big mud hole is probably the only real problem. That and trying to stay in the dry parts, because you really never know really where the bad mud is until you're trying to turn or you're trying to accelerate. Yeah, so yeah, that's not bad. It's just deep and wet. And I think, well, yeah, that was a little bit slippery, but not too bad. I mean, it's really, like I said, you know you're in trouble when you don't turn. But usually when you figure out that you're not turning, you're usually moments away from trouble. It's called a low side. You see it in motorcycle racing a good bit. The front end washes out. And if you're trying to turn, a lot of times you're trying to take a deep enough turn, you're leaning the bike. And if you're leaning the bike and you got no traction, the bike just kind of falls down. Called a low side. The dynamics of motorcycles are quite interesting. And it's good to have a really good understanding of those dynamics if you don't want to get hurt. If you don't want to break yourself or your motorcycle, it's good to understand those dynamics of what the motorcycle does when you riding down the road and you hit a patch of sand or gravel or oil or even water. You know, if you hit water fast enough in a turn, or just a wet road, you know, if you're giving way too much input to your bars, more than the bike can handle at the lean angle, or you know, braking in corners while you're turning, or just braking in general. Braking the bike, B-R-A-K-E, brake, versus braking your traction, B-R-E-A-K, just moving that E a little bit around. If you're braking your traction while braking or turning, the results can be devastating. Topics that I am certainly not an expert, but I'm willing to talk about it anyway. So maybe that's kind of what I wanted to do today is maybe talk about some directions of some of the stuff. I really like getting the input from my viewers. I really like giving some like here's a selection of topics that I'm interested in. Which ones are you guys interested in? That's really, I had that on my mind today, but I don't even have the topics on my mind. I know you guys like the how-tos, the do-it-yourself type stuff. Um, so that's kind of a no-brainer. But I'm also wondering about historical stuff. Are y'all interested in that? Because I'm certainly interested in it. I just, it seems like most of the viewers on my history stuff are, you know, current or past residents of the historical stuff, or people that really may or may not have any interest in motorcycles at all. So I wonder if that's a viable topic. And by viable topic, I mean, is it something that's gonna help me build my audience and grow as a channel? Views are always important, but if it's views from the wrong people, in other words, the people that are not going to be hanging around long term, that kind of sends a message or a signal to YouTube eventually when they bail on the next video I've got that's not about history. And it's about motorcycles or something. And it's like, why does this guy keep popping up in my feed? Well, that's the wrong signal. That you don't want those signals on any of your videos. You don't want people going, ugh, I hate this video, unsubscribe. And that's kind of what happens. So
it was a really short ride today, but this is kind of the rides that I do most often. It's that weekly get my head straight ride. If you ride a motorcycle, you probably know what I'm talking about. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 or 4 hours for you guys to get your head straight. But usually, man, if I just need a break from whatever I'm doing, an hour and a half on the bike usually straightens me out. And like I said earlier, that narcotic drip, that IV full of heroin. Anyway, yeah, so I'm just kind of looking for ideas and feedback from you guys. If y'all like some of the things that I've done before and you want to see more, or if you have some suggestions about something new I could do. I really appreciate all the feedback, and if you have any ideas for me, drop a comment, and we'll see what we can do. I'll see you next time.